Good day, everyone. Welcome to On the Bench at Sport Fishing on the Fly. Today I'm going to be tying for you my olive soft hackle. And this olive softy is a fly that I've caught lots of fish on all over the lakes in BC, especially in the interior. I actually think they take it as a scud most of the time. And just last year I caught my largest rainbow trout ever, and it was on this fly in a size 14. So make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For a hook, I'm using a number 12 scud hook. I'm using Firehole sticks in 317. Very nice strong hook with no barb or anything. For a thread, I'm using Semperfli Nano Silk 18-aught in lime. For the rib, I'm using fine tying wire by Semperfli in chartreuse. Any fine chartreuse wire will work for this. For the body, I'm using holographic tinsel in medium, and it's olive. And I've also tied this fly in chartreuse many times and done just as good on it. For the thorax, I'm using Hare's Ice Dub Olive by Hairline Dubbin. And for the hackle, I'm using Whiting Soft Hackle Chickaboo in olive. I'm going to go ahead and start my thread on the hook. Because I'm using Nano Silk, it's a GSP and it's very slippery, so I'm going to use cobbler's wax on my thread to help it stick to the hook a little bit better. This particular cobbler's wax I got from Semperfli. But I think there's other companies that have cobbler's wax as well. It's good stuff to have. It's not so slippery as like sticky wax or something. I'm going to go about halfway down the bend. Snip that off. Next I'm going to take my wire, my fine wire. I had a piece handy here. One sec. And I'm just going to tie that at the front. Take my thread right back up to the top. Make a few wraps. Next I'm going to take my olive tinsel, and I've tied this fly in chartreuse as well and done really well on it as well. So chartreuse or olive. Hollow tinsel. I'm just going to attach that as well. I'm going to hold on to these two materials and just bring them down the bend of the hook together. And that just helps maintain a nice slim body. And go right down. I'm going to bring my thread back up to where I'm going to tie in the thorax. I'm just going to throw a half hitch in here. Oh, tuck that out of my way here. It's a little bit curly. That's just going to hold my thread while I use my rotary vise. Next, I'm going to take my vise and start wrapping this up the hook and trying to overlap it slightly. It can be tricky at first, going around that hook point. Then I'm going to tie it off. Tie that off really well too. You don't want it coming out. Snip that away. I'm going to throw another half hitch in there. Now I'm going to take my wire. I'm going to make a couple of, I'm going to counterwind the wire the opposite way that I wound my tinsel. Make a few turns at the very back, and then I'm just going to bring it up in nice even spaces. And this is more just to hold the tinsel on the hook than anything. It's not so much for segmentation right now. You can barely see it. I think they could take this for like a caddis or even a mayfly emerging or anything. But like I said, I think most often they take it for a scud. I'm just going to pull on my thread and helicopter that wire off. Next, I'm going to take my olive ice dub hare's ear, and you can use any dubbing for this, any green dubbing, and mix it with a little bit of ice dub, and that'll work too. I'm just going to make a little noodle, twist that onto my thread. Oh. And build just a little thorax. It's not too big. Might add just a tiny bit more. There we go. That's more to just make it kind of buggy, make the hackle stand out nice. Add some shine. Next I'm going to take my chickaboo feather. And how I measure for my soft hackles is I generally just take the feather and I pull these down, I pull the hackle down, and then I just measure it against my hook and decide, okay, how long do I want my hackle? I want it to start about there. So I'm going to separate those from the tip. And then I'm also going to strip the fluff off the bottom here. And also the legs that I don't want. I don't want too much on there. So I kind of take a look at it and go, okay, well, it's going to be about that much by the time I'm done. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just like an estimation. It's better to have too much on there than not enough. And I'm going to trim this into a little triangle. And that gives me a little anchor to hang for my thread to hang on to. I'm also going to wax my thread at this point with my cobbler's wax, or any wax. It's fine. It's just to give it a little bit stickiness so it holds the hackle on there a little bit better. And then just go around and tie that in. You can give it some good wraps with the nano silk so your feather doesn't pull out. Piece there. And then you can use hackle pliers here. I tend to leave the fluff on the bottom of my feather here so I can hang on to it. It's a nice long feather, so it's not like working with a partridge feather. It's a nice long stem on there. And then I'm just going to wind it around. Get those legs around it. And then I'm going to wiggle my thread through there, trapping that stem. Take everything and sweep it back and make a couple turns in front. And then I'm just going to trim that stem out of there. At this point, I'm just going to take a little brush. Oops. And go around my fly a little bit. Make sure that hackle's all the way around. I'm brushing out the dubbing a little bit, making it a little bit buggier. And I'm just going to sweep it all back and build a nice head. If it clumps up on you like that, you can pull the legs apart. It's mostly just because I was holding it with my hands. And then just throw a couple of whip finishes in there. Hold that good and tight. I usually fish this on like a clear intermediate line, this particular soft tackle. I have used my hover line or type 3, but I find the clear intermediate is like the best line for this fly. And I tend to throw it in the weeds and strip it really, really fast like a scud, but very, very short strips with a few pauses, make it kind of erratic because that's how scuds swim, very erratic. Oh, hang on. I'm just going to glue that head. I have also just, tossed it out and hand twisted it back, and that's worked. So depending on what they're actually taking it for. And there you have it, my olive softie. Make sure you give that a try. It's a great fly. Thanks for joining me on this edition of On the Bench, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
To watch all our latest Sport Fishing on the Fly episodes and to order Sport Fishing on the Fly merchandise, head to www.sfotf.ca. And if you would like to book an adventure like this one showing, head to ontheflyadventures.ca and book yourself the trip of a lifetime.